All right, guys, welcome to the Mixtape Talks. It's me and Ethan today, and we are going to talk. This is going to be our first hot topic on the Mixtape Talks. By the time this airs, it'll probably be 5 days after this whole Target situation has come about. And before this episode, we were kind of like, do we talk about this? Do we not talk about it? But I feel like it's in all of your guys' stories. It's in all of your DMs. You guys are talking about it within each other, within your groups. So why not talk about it a little bit on here? And then we'd love to hear your guys' opinions as well. If you have been under a rock this whole week and you don't know what we're talking about, a big thing that has happened this week with Target is Target pushing out their Pride line, but the artist is a known Satanist and their images supporting the transgender community. So this is the hot topic, right? A lot of moms that I know saw that and were just like, why is this even allowed in stores? So we're going to try to dive deep, and I'm going to honestly say, we're just speaking from what we know, what we've seen, our opinion. We're not saying it's right or wrong, but this is kind of how we feel about it. So me personally, when I saw that, I didn't say anything right away. It was more so like, is this real? Like, is this image that I'm kind of seeing on people's stories, is this like a for real thing? And then you go on your phone and you're like, oh shit, like this is a real thing, right? So personally, when I saw it, I feel like we're not allowed to have an extreme opinion, right? Is how I feel. So, and say that good or bad, but anytime somebody has an extreme opinion, either one, they're going to get canceled. Two, they're going to have either crazy supporters or it's opposite ends of the spectrum right now. And I think the biggest issue, what people are seeing is a company like Target, well known. Target is in everybody's homes, pushing pushing Satan onto the Pride community, or saying to the community that Satan loves you, but maybe Jesus doesn't, so that's where, and that's what I'm saying. I'm really trying to, pick my wording correctly, because even I know I'm naive to some things and I might not know everything that's going on, but just as an outsider looking in, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because even if somebody who has maybe a Christian background, they wouldn't be pushing like Jesus loves transgender in Target. So I feel like because it's such an extreme, and then that extreme is now on children's clothing, that's where I see the backlash, why this is happening.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think, Ethan? I know it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough, guys.
It's
we're
tough.
really...
It's tough because I think that, everyone has the right to, be represented, but I think the way that Target went about it in such an extreme way, involving Satan, and I'd feel the same way if it was, Jesus loves transgender, or Jesus loves X, Satan loves X.
Yeah.
I just really don't like it was targeted towards children.
Yes.
I think that something like that with religion and sexual orientation or sexual identity should be on the parents to teach their kids, and not on corporations to influence kids to think a certain way.
100%. Okay. So I respect that decision for sure, or that mindset, because I feel like when you're targeting children, or I think it probably would have been received differently if maybe that shirt was in Spencer, or maybe that shirt was in maybe even Tilly's, where it's like that older demographic.
Yeah.
But I think because Target is such a well-known name, and Target has the sway of a lot of people, and also people blindlessly walk into Target and they just buy. So I think it goes back to the pushing certain values or certain ideas on a group of people that already are so confused about what's going on in their day-to-day life. Why doesn't this girl like me? Why don't I get it? Why aren't I part of this cool crowd or whatever? Like, kids growing up are already so confused as it is. Like, why push such an extreme religion on?
Is it to cater to a certain audience that is popular to cater to nowadays?
Yeah.
And not saying that as a bad thing, just going based off what we've seen with Bud Light and how badly that ended, trying to cater to a certain demographic and trying to make a certain demographic happy.
Yeah.
And how quickly Target was to have meetings about pulling this.
Exactly. So so everything right after, I want to say maybe either that day or day after, everyone's saying there was emergency meetings within Target Corporation. And now if you Google it or in the Target app, it's not popping up at all. So obviously, it won't pop up at all is what I saw. So I think obviously Target now knows that maybe they didn't approach it the right way. Or maybe
is it, do you really even care, or were you just doing this to try and get more sales during a certain time of the month?
Yes, exactly. Are we extreme because it's a certain time of the month, or because then once June or July hits, they're going to be out of stores anyways, and now we're back to God Bless America?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where obviously Target is a wealthy corporation and they're making billions of dollars off of every single person in the country. Like, if you don't know Target, then you don't live in America.
Yeah,
literally. So this is a really hard issue to talk about for me, but I really think someone in corporate was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be extreme. And this extreme is either going to go left or right. Like, it's either going to be great for our sales or, it's going to tank. Okay. But I also feel like whoever was at top who made that corporate decision should have probably had somebody that wasn't a yes man or had
this
somebody. This
is going to be a bad idea.
Yeah, like, hey, like there could be bad repercussions to this, right? So personally, I take that back and I'm like, okay, so like in even these big corporations, who's in your circle? Like, once you get to the top, do you just say yes to everything that's coming your way because maybe you're scared to get demoted or like, hey, you didn't go with our views, so now next month we're looking for somebody new.
Yeah. And why do corporations feel like they need to even cater to a certain audience on either side?
Yeah.
Because if they went super hard on, let's say, like a Christian clothing line, I'm pretty sure people who don't agree with that would be up 100%. In arms and boycotting it the same way.
Yeah.
So is it better to just stay in your lane, stay in the middle, and not cater to either audience? Because once you start catering to certain people are going to get mad over anything.
100, yeah. And especially right now, like, we're so groomed to be politically correct. I mean, even I know on this podcast, sometimes we're like, oh, like, how do I word this so somebody doesn't get mad at me or I don't want to hurt your feelings. So this is what's just so baffling to me because it's Target.
Yeah.
You're so big. And then we were talking about, it's kind of similar to the Balenciaga episode where, not the episode, but when that happened, it's like, okay, they're using children, but they're targeting adults using children.
Which is even weirder.
Which is even weirder, right? And now Target is using children or using religion to target children, which is like still mind-blowing.
Just leave the kids out of it.
100%.
Just leave the kids out of it.
Yes. And I think that's where we both agree on is kind of like, you're going to have your religious views. You're going to have your gender views, like I understand kids are growing up in a crazy time and they do have more questions and they are exploring more avenues of discovering who they are. But at the same time, us as adults, we shouldn't be the one trying to make that narrative a certain way.
Yeah.
So allow the kids to be curious, allow the kids to ask questions, but allow them to ask them in a safe environment. And yeah, sometimes at school, sometimes they can't talk to their parents. So I get that. But I think having more of an open door policy instead of just hey, this is our view policy is what we need to look into more. From our kitchen to yours, this episode is brought to you by Meals by Mill. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals right to your door every day. Use promo code MIX15 at checkout for 15% off your first order. Serving LA, Inland Empire, and Orange County areas. Order today.
Also normalizing that it's okay to have a differing opinion.
Yes,
and
100%.
not get offended or feel attacked because someone believes a certain way.
Yes.
I think that's what's beautiful about this country is we have so many different people from all different backgrounds that believe all different things.
Yeah.
And, you know, me and you aren't going to have the same opinions on every single thing, but at the same time, there's respect for each other's opinions.
Yes.
Even though they might be on like extremes of both sides.
Yes.
You should still be able to have conversations with people that believe different things without getting offended, without feeling like you need to yell at them, like talk over them. And on the other end of that, you should also enter a conversation willing to have your opinion changed.
Yes.
And not believe that you're 100% right about what you believe. Because, I mean, I know that certain parts of my core beliefs are because of how I grew up.
Yeah.
And might not very well be what's 100% true or the right thing, but because of how I was raised, I grew up believing those things.
Yeah.
Now, my opinions on a lot of things have changed over the years as I, you know, broke away from the church background and, you know, started discovering the world for myself. A lot of my opinions and views changed.
Yeah.
And during that time, it wasn't as divisive as it is now. And I feel like kids growing up, especially growing up now, are seeing such a strong opinion from one or the other side.
Yeah.
With no room for there to be a middle ground.
Yeah, there's like no gray right now. It's like it's either black or white, or like you said, I'm either right, I'm right, you're wrong. You know, and even before we started this episode, we're like, we still don't know a lot about it, right? Like we're literally hitting the surface. And even if you're watching this and you even have like, maybe you're for this campaign for Target, like I would love to hear your opinion on why. You know, just to have, like you said, open the doors to have adult conversations, right? But this issue is an adult conversation issue. It's not a children's conversation issue, right? Because let's say if Target didn't take down those lines, now you're having maybe an 8-year-old going to school with a t-shirt that's saying something, and now how are 8-year-olds able, if I don't even feel 100% comfortable talking about this situation,
an 8-year-old has no business talking or worrying about it. An 8-year-old should be focused on being an 8-year-old
and having
fun.
Yes.
And not worrying about the political nuances
or agenda
of, you know, gay, straight, transgender, you know, anything like that. They shouldn't have to worry about that. Like, granted, that is the world that they're heading into.
Yeah.
So as they get older, it should definitely be something that's talked about, but not like 8 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's, yeah, dude, this is tough. This is really tough because obviously, like you said, like you grew up within like a church background, but then you even kind of veered away, but you still have your own beliefs and faith and how you choose to have a spiritual life, you know?
Definitely.
And I feel like you said, that's what's so great about times now is there's so many different points of view, religion, but what's great about this day and age, well, when it works well, is we can all be cohesive and we can all talk about it together. But anytime one group, religious, corporation, anytime one group thinks, well, my ideas are better than yours, I'm right, you're wrong. Kind of reminds me of like that Matilda scene when she's like,
never saw Matilda. I never saw Matilda.
She's like, Miss Trunchbull's like, I'm right, you're wrong, you're little, I'm big. Like it's like this woman of power is just yelling at this little kid, like anything you say, you're wrong. Anything that you try to do, you're wrong. Like, unless it's my way, pretty much, or the highway. So it's just one of those things, like you said, going back to, it's for the kids. And kids, I do believe, you know, they have more options now than when we did, right? Like there's more social media, there's more places of influence, which is a great thing. It's a double-edged sword, right? You know, for us in our business, social media,
100%.
we need it. We can't function without
Best thing ever. Yeah.
But now I even know with social media, 8-year-olds to 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds kids that don't even know what they want to eat the next day, or like what movie they want to see with their friends or things like that, are getting so swayed in any direction, really, whatever's popping up on their feed. It's really hard for a kid to grow up and find out who they truly are, because they have so many different outlets and so many different opinions shining a light, right? And I'm sure some kids will hear something and be like, well, maybe if I don't believe this, I'm not going to be able to hang out with this group of kids. Or maybe if I don't do this, I'm not going to be able to make this sports team or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Personally, I just feel it just goes back to the kids. Like, you can't push any extreme on such a vulnerable group of people,
Yeah. And again, like, if you are going to be talking about these topics, you should also say it's okay if someone believes something different.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially at that age, I feel like if kids are being taught both sides, I'm assuming, different kids would have different opinions on certain things. But I'll be the first to admit I don't know everything about this topic either. Or I'm not super educated on it. But
I think, you know what? I think that's 90% of people. And so 90% of people don't want to start the conversation because they're going to look stupid. And, very well, I might be looking stupid or naive in how I'm approaching the situation, but I'm literally in just a place of curiosity. Like, who in corporate Target or any corporate company, says like, okay, this is good. Let's green light this. It's gonna be taken great for Pride Month, So yeah, that's where I stand on that for sure.
So to play devil's advocate, yes, Target made this choice, and yes, they retracted it rather quickly. But you're already seeing boycotts to cancel Target and to not shop at Target, just like we saw with Bud Light. Is it right to cancel a corporation and try to bring a corporation down for making a mistake that they thought was a good choice, and have publicly started undoing that mistake?
Ooh.
I don't know.
It goes to, I mean, that's a very good point, because it's like the thing you say, because I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
It's going back to that issue, right? I don't agree with it. I don't think this is right that we're targeting kids, but somebody obviously did. And somebody thinks on that opposite end of the spectrum where it's okay. And that person's freedom of choice was, hey, I say we do it.
Yeah.
So honestly, no, that's probably not right. Right.
Yeah. Cause it's, personally, we might not agree with it, but hey, you know what? I'm still going to shop at Target.
Yeah.
I still like Target.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go. But I don't think that just because some person, not an entire corporation, made, a judgment call that they thought would work, that obviously didn't, you should stop shopping. You should stop shopping there.
Yeah.
Again, it's that extreme point of view, I guess, where because you made this choice, or you made this, or you publicly made this belief, you made this choice, that you must be this way, or you must be associated with this. So you know what? Hey, we're going to just put you into, this entire, associate you with this entire group of people.
Yeah.
And it's the same way on both sides.
Because you're saying pretty much like, okay, you have friends that are gay.
Yeah.
Yes. And just because, but I also have friends who are gay who still have a relationship with God.
Yeah. And exactly.
Right.
And it's like, who are we to dictate, just because you believe in this must mean that you also believe in XYZ and you're associated with XYZ. So that means you're this person and I'm not going to talk to you. And
that goes back to the black and white issue, right? When really we're all living in gray, right? You pull beliefs from a little bit of here, a little bit of there, how you were raised, the people you grew up with, were your parents in your life? Were they not in your life? Who raised you? Was it your grandma? Like, all the factors of you growing up is going to shape you. And that might put you more on the right side, the right wing or the left wing. But I can honestly say, I think the majority of people aren't 100% left or right.
Yeah.
They might have some core values, right, from one or the other, but there's still compassion and understanding for other views that are a touchy subject, like how you were just saying pro-life, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a whole subject in
Yeah.
itself. But just because your views, which you're allowed to have your view on whatever, is I might have done A, but if you choose to do B, that doesn't change the person you are. That doesn't change your credibility.
It doesn't mean you're any less of a person. because you
Exactly,
believe
right?
this.
Your choice is
Yeah.
your choice. And but I think that also goes back to your choice only affects you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when your choices affect others or they hurt others or your choices end up, you know, what's the word? Making a certain group of people feel unworthy or misunderstood, then that's when things are wrong,
Yeah.
right? But it's like this whole topic, like we
Yeah.
can go on for days on what issues are controversial. I could probably list like 17 right now. And I could probably say if we were to list 17 issues and we were to have rapid fire, like pro against, do we believe, like we would probably agree on like 9 of them. And
Yeah.
then on 6 of them, we'd be like, you might be a little wrong. But is that going to change our friendship, our working relationship? No, because we're choosing to have, and it goes back to us having the ability to have open conversations. And that is why we were a little scared to record this episode, because we're like, shit, like, do we talk about this or do we just, we'll be like half of the other people who aren't talking about it at all. And we won't get canceled. I don't think we're getting canceled for this. I just think we're allowing ourselves to have an open conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And honestly, that's why we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Powered by conversation.
Yep.
All about talking about what we believe in a safe space without anyone getting angered, triggered, or at least knowing that whoever's talking is coming from a place of not wanting to anger and trigger, just might not be as politically correct as the world tells them to be.
100%. And I think, and that's where, when your intentions are pure, and I really think that's what's going on with this episode right here. It's one, this was hot.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring it to light, especially because it's going to be out in 2 days and you guys are going to be able to talk about this. And I genuinely want to hear what you guys think. Like, this is why we brought up the conversation. And if there is somebody, if there is a person that, maybe disagrees with us, like maybe even having you on the podcast,
let us know.
We would love to have an open discussion where people don't, it's like going back to, I don't need to talk over you, I'm not right, you're wrong, like stuff like that. It's just shedding light on a situation that maybe we don't have all the insights to, and we don't know the full story. And that's why we're bringing it up. And honestly, that's why we decided to still go with this episode, even though this is probably for me. I mean, even on like my stories, I don't even get involved in this, and stories erase after 24 hours. Like, knowing that we're talking about this and it's going to be up for a while. I think it's big on our part too. Like, we're a little scared, but I think anytime you have scary conversations, just positive things come out of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous going into this episode a little bit, but honestly, now I'm feeling it.
Yeah. So I'm definitely happy that we were able to talk a little bit about this, guys. I appreciate you guys for listening in. If you were able to sit through this whole conversation, please, we want to know. So let us know your thoughts on Target. Are you still shopping there? Are you a mama who's boycotting? Or do you think, hey, it's somebody's opinion that was able to get out into the store, and let them have their moment of shine for that artist, right?
We're not saying either or is the wrong one, or the right one.
We're just saying, let's have a conversation, because like Ethan said, Mixtape Talks is powered by conversation. So guys, let us know what you think, and we'll talk to you guys next week.